I am having serious hockey withdrawals right now. My summer beer league is over, there's no more draft to look forward to, and I constantly find myself on Twitter refreshing, hoping to see any speck of Canucks news or articles on my timeline. It's gotten so bad that I've watched the same game of Quinn Hughes at least 3 times. I mean, sure, sex is great, but have you ever watched Quinn Hughes skate? But I do have a hockey YouTube channel that should hold over this addiction until October that I've kind of been neglecting due to just being so tired after work, but no more. Not to worry, videos are coming, starting with this video, the first of a undecided part series talking about the Canucks offseason and their plan for the future. What are Jim Benning and Trevor Linden thinking? If I had one of those magic 8-ball things, it would probably say try again or just straight out no. It just doesn't want to deal with it right now. I'm gonna do my best to try and answer these questions over the offseason, read the minds of Jim Benning and Trevor Linden, and also maybe look at what Travis Green and his options are going into the opening night of next season. So in this first installment, we will be in a vacuum solely looking at the value that the new free agent acquisitions bring to the Vancouver Canucks. We won't be looking at things like salary or term or fit in the roster or anything like that. Just the intrinsic value of Jay Beagle, Tim Schaller, and Antoine Roussel. The aim of this exercise is really just to get a better feel of the type of players the Canucks have brought in free agency without looking at it through the perspective of the salary cap or roster makeup. That will be part 2 of this series. Let's start with Jay Beagle, the 32-year-old center who put up 7 goals and 15 assists in 79 games last year with the Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals. That's still so weird and amazing to say, so happy for Ovi. Known for his defensive and penalty kill prowess, it's pretty clear that he was brought in to alleviate Brandon Sutter of some of those responsibilities. He's a guy that Travis Green can pile defensive assignments on and win faceoffs in the bottom 6. Taking a look at how he stacks up against the other defensive centers in the league, he led all centers in the NHL in defensive zone starts per 60 with 36.08. The next highest was Ryan O'Reilly, and then the Canucks' very own Brandon Sutter. He had a Corsi against per 60 of 61.64 and a Corsi for per 60 of 40.87. His high danger Corsi against per 60, which really just measures how many high danger shot attempts are taken, as in high danger as in the slot area. It's not really the best metric, but it is a good look at how players can prevent, or at least are somewhat able to prevent, high scoring chances. So his high danger Corsi against per 60 was 12.54, the highest out of the top 20 defensive centers in the league. Beagle does give up a high volume of shots and a lot of dangerous scoring opportunities. And yes, a lot of that can be attributed just to the amount of zone starts he has in his own end. But from the numbers, it's still not very clear to me that he's an elite shutdown defensive center. And I mean, in no way is he heralded as an elite shutdown center. It's just he's going to be, in my opinion, spending a lot of time in his own zone. Now let's see how Beagle fared last year on the penalty kill. He was second in the NHL in time on ice when down a man. He had the 11th highest unblocked shot attempts against per 60 out of all forwards in the NHL at 90.26, as well as the 6th highest all shot attempts against per 60 with 121.25. Those 2 stats ranked highest out of all penalty killers on the Washington Capitals. So now taking a look at how Beagle and the top 3 penalty killers he played with fared when Beagle was on the ice or not on the ice in unblocked shot attempts against per 60. You can see here that Beagle negatively affected the Caps' penalty kill when he was on the ice with these 3 players opposed to when he was off the ice. With the stats out of the way, let's talk about really the main draw, the main appeal, the big value that Jay Beagle brings to the Vancouver Canucks, and that's his intangibles. He went undrafted and began his professional career down in the East Coast Hockey League and worked his way all the way up to the Washington Capitals. That sounds very familiar to Alex Burrows. Everyone who talks about Beagle, of course, has to mention his work ethic. He's fought tooth and nail for everything that he has today. He never takes a day off in practice, and surely some of that will rub off on some of the young guys. Competing like that in practice makes players better. He's developed enough hands now where he's been able to score 10 goals twice in his career, and at the age of 31, he posted career highs in both goals and points. To sum it all up, what you have here is a guy who will lead by example. He's a heart and soul player who won't wow you on every shift, but you'll come to respect the way he plays. He's a guy that you can reliably put out there in key defensive faceoffs and most likely get a win with his 58 win percentage in the dot. Beagle is in no sense of the word a play driver, and he is going to be immensely outshined shot, but he is good insulation for young guys like Elias Pettersson to get more favorable matchups. Moving on to 28-year-old winger Antoine Roussel, who had 5 goals and 12 assists in 73 games for the Dallas Stars last year. Since entering the league in the 2012-2013 season, only one player has put up as many penalty minutes as Antoine Roussel, and that is Tom Wilson, as they have both put up 806 penalty minutes. But Roussel isn't just your typical enforcer. He's an interesting combination of toughness and offensive capabilities. Over that 6-season span, only 5 players have recorded over 600 penalty minutes. Derek Dorsett with 640 PIMs and 71 points. Chris Neal with 661 PIMs and 50 points. Cody McLeod with 790 PIMs with 60 points, and Tom Russell with 806 PIMs and 104 points. Then you have Antoine Roussel, 806 PIMs and 141 points. Roussel is also a positive possession player, as last year he posted a Corsi for per 60 of 58.78 and a Corsi against per 60 of 53.13. He was 3rd out of Stars forwards on relative Corsi for with 2.2 while playing bottom 6 minutes. He also played a little over 73 minutes of penalty killing time last year and posted pretty good shot suppression numbers with a Fenwick against per 60 of 60.27. The Stars PK was better when Roussel was on the ice rather than off it. A difference in 17 less unblocked shot attempts per hour with Roussel on the ice than off, and a difference of 3.34 goals against per hour. But again, really, this is another guy who's been brought in for the intangibles. He also went undrafted and has worked so hard to get to the place where he is today, and he will no doubt be one of the favorites among Canucks teammates due to his emotion and passion for the game, as well as his willingness to lay his own body out for the team. Pretty much for replacing the Derek Dorsett presence with more offensive capabilities. And I mean, even when he isn't able to put up numbers on the board and is struggling a bit, he'll still add value to the team in other ways due to his pestiness, due to his toughness, due to his defensive abilities, due to his strong possession metrics, and due to his leadership. I think he's going to have a bounce back year this year in the offensive categories, and he's honestly going to become a fan favorite. Lastly, we have 27-year-old center Tim Schaller, who put up 12 goals and 10 assists in 82 games for the Boston Bruins. And sticking on theme to the last 2 signings, Schaller is yet another guy who brings some toughness and stability to the bottom 6 as well as the penalty kill. Playing on the 4th line of a very strong Boston Bruins team, Schaller put up pretty reasonable possession numbers against other teams' 4th lines with a Corsi for percentage of 51.83. It's also interesting to note that Schaller was actually the Bruins forward with the highest defensive zone starts per 60 out of his team. Not head and shoulders above other teammates, but it is just interesting to see how comfortable the Bruins were with starting that 4th line in their own zone. Schaller also does bring some skill with his 12 goals that he put up last year, but I'm not expecting him to really improve in that regard at 27. Tim spent 156 minutes on the penalty kill for the Bruins last season and fared pretty well. His Fenwick against per 60 on the PK was 70.99. Good for 4.03 lower than what the Bruins were doing without him on the ice. He also had a 4.99 goals against per 60. The undrafted trend once again continues with Tim Schaller, who went the NCAA route and then started his professional career with the Rochester Americans, the AHL affiliate of the Buffalo Sabres, played with them for a bit, and then had 2 pretty solid years with the Boston Bruins. He'll be spending most of this summer and training camp out with an injury due to having surgery on his hand, but he should be healthy enough to start the season. Or at least maybe have a brief conditioning stint down in Utica. Really what the Canucks have in Schaller is another guy who can play responsibly in their bottom 6 and who has enough skill to post respectable bottom 6 scoring numbers. To wrap things up, the Canucks, well, they basically signed an entire 4th line in free agency and 3 more players that shore up the Canucks penalty kill. They've addressed the needs to get tougher, find more leadership, and find good high-quality guys who can really teach the young guys how to be professionals. Next video, I'll be discussing where these players fit into the lineup, what the roster makeup will look like for the Canucks going into next year, who's going to start in the NHL, who will start in the AHL, where everyone's going to fit, how much room the Canucks even have to play with, who could be potentially gone down to waivers. It's going to be a long one. That's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know by leaving a like, as it really helps me out to know if I'm doing stuff right or wrong on this channel. And if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting subscribe and joining us on this Canucks journey. So with that, stay calm, keep your head on a swivel, and have a great day.